Look at this little guy, a literal raw potato walking at a steady pace down a dirt road in a quiet rural village. On paper, this is a joke. It's a starchy root vegetable, a carbohydrate meant for the dinner table. Yet he is entirely consumed by high-level entrepreneurial aspirations. So why doesn't this feel like a cheap gag? Why, when we watch this scene, do we actually feel a strange urge to root for him instead of laughing it off? That empathy is engineered. We are reacting to a deliberate formula of visual pacing combined with precise cultural scripting. By pulling apart just 3 short lines of the original creator's prompt instructions, we can map the mechanical anatomy of narrative tension. The foundation starts with the environment prompt. Setting this in a rustic village establishes a necessary baseline. It gives our protagonist a point of origin, signaling the classic trope of humble beginnings. But the environment alone is static. The emotional weight arrives in the motion instructions, specifically the demand for a slow walk and a camera pan. Pacing dictates emotion. The strict instruction for a slow walk forces the audience into a reflective state. We are locked into a methodical cadence, which demands that we take the subject seriously. If you increase that walking speed, the scene moves towards slapstick comedy. Fast motion reads as panic or a cartoonish escape. The slow pace commands dignity. Then, the creator adds a tiny atmospheric detail, birds flying overhead. This functions as a nearly universal visual shorthand. Birds moving freely through an open sky communicate concepts of escape and upward mobility. Notice how the character, the birds, and the camera are all moving in the exact same direction. This creates a feeling of steady progress. If we break that alignment, say the camera pans left while the subject walks right, the vectors collide, creating visual resistance. Those exact motion instructions strict aligned a potato's identity as a static agricultural object, turning it into an active, deliberate seeker of a better future. The final layer locks the narrative into place with dialogue. The character speaks in Hindi. मैं भी कुछ बड़ा करना चाहता हूँ. अब खेती नहीं, business करूँगा. I also want to do something big. No more farming, I will do business. That first sentence introduces a baseline of human dissatisfaction. Wanting to do something big instantly bridges the gap between a piece of produce and the universal human condition of wanting more out of life. The weight lies in the pivot. No more farming. This is a profound, explicit rejection of the potato's literal, biological destiny. It refuses to be harvested. A potato's default state is inside this box, functioning as a passive commodity to be bought and sold. By declaring, "I will do business," the phrasing breaks the object out of that commodity classification, lifting the character to the top of the economic hierarchy. Delivering this in Hindi taps into deeply ingrained narratives of rural to corporate migration. It echoes the lived experience of leaving village agriculture for urban enterprise. This specific linguistic choice forces us to stop looking at a piece of food and start listening to a protagonist commanding economic respect. When you pull all 3 layers back together, the environment, the aligned motion vectors, and the linguistic pivot, the result is a cohesive narrative unit. This specific combination of elements bypasses the viewer's reflex to mock the imagery, leading instead to a sincere investment in the character's success. The raw subject matter could not be simpler, yet the emotional response it successfully engineers is complex, pulling on threads of ambition, class mobility, and destiny. This demonstrates that for AI-generated media, emotional weight doesn't require sprawling, intricate scripts. It relies on the economy of the prompt. By calibrating pacing and perspective, these few lines of direction transform a humble spud from produce into a vessel for recognizable human ambition.